So we've all gotten pretty used to seeing electric cars on the road, right? They're practically everywhere. But when you start talking about electrifying everything else, well, that's where the challenge gets a lot bigger. Today, we're going to look at two amazing breakthroughs aimed at those next frontiers, the sky and the sea.
Right, so that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We're going to explore how two completely different companies are tackling the massive engineering hurdles to create electric planes and boats that are actually practical enough for the real world. All right, so let's get right into it. Before we can even talk about the cool solutions, we have to understand the single, fundamental problem that makes this whole thing so incredibly difficult. And here it is, the big one. Batteries are just heavy. Super heavy. In a car, adding a few hundred extra kilos for a battery, it's manageable. But on a plane or a boat, weight is everything. If you want more range, you need a bigger battery. But that bigger battery adds more weight, which means you need even more power just to haul that extra weight around. It's this vicious cycle, you know? And it's what has kept long-range electric flight and boating pretty much in the realm of science fiction. Well, until now.
Okay, first up, we're heading to Sweden. There's a company there called Heart Aerospace, and they are taking a super practical, really pragmatic approach to electrifying regional air travel. They're not sitting around waiting for some miracle battery to be invented. Nope, they are building for today.
So this is their aircraft, the ES-30, and what you really want to pay attention to here are the range numbers. On pure electric power, it can fly 200 kilometers. Now, that's useful, for sure, but it's not exactly groundbreaking. But look at that hybrid range. With 25 passengers, it jumps all the way up to 800 kilometers. Now, that is a total game changer for regional travel. So how on earth do they do it? Well, it's basically a best of both worlds system. For shorter flights, it operates as a pure electric plane, using its two electric motors. But for those longer routes, two super efficient turboprop engines kick in, extending its range far, far beyond what batteries alone could possibly manage.
So what does all this actually mean in the real world? Well, it means cheaper operating costs for airlines, and the plane itself is noticeably quieter. Plus, because electric motors give it that instant power, it can take off from much shorter runways, which opens up a ton of smaller airports. This could literally put towns back on the flight map, reopening routes that major airlines abandoned years ago. And get this isn't some far-off dream. The prototype, the X1, is scheduled for its first all-electric flight in 2025, with the goal of having the final ES-30 in commercial service by 2028. I mean, that is right around the corner. But hold on, not everyone in the aerospace world is sold on this hybrid approach being the right one. And this creates a really fascinating debate about the best way to engineer the future. This quote from aerospace engineer Josh Portlock, it just gets right to the heart of the whole counter-argument. His point is that in aviation, weight is the ultimate enemy. A hybrid system means you're carrying around the weight and complexity of engines, fuel, all their systems, even when you're flying purely on electric. He's making the case for the purest solution possible. And this lays it out perfectly. You've got these two competing philosophies. The hybrid approach gives you incredible range right now, but the price you pay is that extra weight and complexity. The big battery approach, on the other hand, is elegant, it's simple, it's light, but you are completely limited by the range of today's batteries. It's a classic engineering trade-off. So, while the aviation world is debating this compromise, a completely different and frankly radical approach is taking shape on the sea. An Australian company has an answer to the same energy problem, but it's one that doesn't compromise. It completely rethinks the challenge. Their solution is built around this technology, hydrofoiling. Think of it like putting wings on a boat. As it picks up speed, these underwater foils generate lift, raising the entire hull clean out of the water. And when you're not pushing a heavy hull through the water, you get rid of a massive amount of drag. And this is their patented system, the wave drive. It's like a three-part symphony. First, an active stabilization system is the boat's brain, constantly adjusting the foils to keep it stable, even in choppy water. Second, it uses these incredibly simple and efficient direct drive electric motors. And third, and this is the really clever part, it uses a tail design that's intentionally unstable, which allows the computer to have much more aggressive and precise control over the ride. So, what's the result of all this engineering wizardry? This number. Lifting the hull out of the water means the Wave Flyer uses 80% less energy than a conventional boat of the same size. 80%! That is a staggering improvement in efficiency, and it's what makes a long-range electric boat possible.
And that 80% energy saving translates directly into a better experience. The boat's faster, and it has a much longer range than other electric boats. Because it's flying over the waves instead of crashing through them, the ride is incredibly smooth. And, of course, it's virtually silent and produces zero emissions.
Okay, so let's bring these two stories together. We have a hybrid plane from Sweden and a hydrofoiling boat from Australia. Two very different vehicles from opposite sides of the world.
But they represent two brilliant answers to the exact same challenge. How do you work around the weight and energy limits of the batteries we have right now? Hart Aerospace chose a pragmatic hybrid compromise. The boat's designers? They chose a radical redesign that completely changed the physics of the problem. And that leaves us with a final, fascinating question. As battery technology inevitably gets better and better, lighter, more powerful, which of these philosophies will win out? Will our future be defined by clever, pragmatic steps forward, or by these radical leaps that completely rethink how we move? It's a future that's being engineered right now.